What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC 288. We got Aljamain Sterling going against Henry Sahuto.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video this week, breaking down UFC 288. We have a 12-fight card. Unfortunately, have lost a couple fights along the way, but still, 12-fight card. Still looking forward to it. Still a lot of spots that stick out. And this is a card where I have a ton of bets. I have like 20 bets on this card, and it may sound like a lot, but a lot of those are like really small sprinkles. So I have 20 bets, 19 of them being plus money. So it's not a card where there's not like one big spot I love where it's, you know, chalk and I'm laying minus 300, minus 200. It's a spot where I like a lot of prop bets. I think a lot of them stick out. And when you are betting a lot of plus money, you really don't need to hit a ton to come out profitable. So that's the goal. Lots of plus money spots sticking out. I'll be going through all of them here and talking about these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like which fighter, on why I'm betting what, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video on Monday. And then I also went live on Friday as well for my final thoughts live stream. So be sure to check those out. And since this is a pay-per-view card, I'm going to be bringing back the contest to enter this contest. First, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel. And then third, comment down your craziest plus money prop. It could be anything. It could be, I don't know, Parker Porter by second round sub. It could be Diego Lopez by sub. It could be anything. Comment your biggest plus money prop. Whoever hits the biggest, $25 to first. I'm giving away free money. If you guys, if there's a tie, which I don't think there's going to be a tie, the tiebreaker will go to the person that commented first. And honestly, you could do like, I don't know, you could do like a Claudio Ribeiro knockout prop. You know, it's minus 110 or whatever, but if you hit that and nobody else hits anything else, you can probably win that way as well. But whoever hits the widest odds prop, the best odds prop, $25 a first. So be sure to like, subscribe, comment down those props. I'll probably drop one in the comments as well. So other than that, I'm going to be going live twice on Saturday. I'm going to be doing a fight day live chat type stream where I just talk with the chat the whole time, chop it up with you guys, and then also going to be going live for best bet a couple hours prior to the prelims there. So I say we get into it. We're going to start with the first fight on the card. We got Claudio Ribeiro going against Joseph Holmes. So the first bet I have here, and I have a bet on pretty much every fight except the Eveloev fight. So I have a half unit shot on Claudio Ribeiro to win in either round 1 or round 2, 0.5 units plus 108. It's not a fight where I'm extremely confident in Claudio Ribeiro, and it's not a fight where I would be going out there and laying minus 170 on him, but it is a fight that I think does finish inside the distance. So on my website, dfsbythenumbers.com, I do a prelim Hail Mary parlay, main card parlay, and then just a Hail Mary parlay in general. And I do like the under 2.5 rounds in this fight. The fight doesn't go as solid parlay pieces this week, but I like Ribeiro to win this fight. I think Ribeiro is going to have the knockout upside in this fight early on. This guy has 10 knockout wins in 10 wins, and 9 of them come in the very first or second round. So I like Ribeiro to finish this fight early. I think if Holmes wins this fight, it's probably sub. If you like Holmes, you probably play the sub prop, which is plus like 450, something like that, which is not great, but I like the Ribeiro side. I like Ribeiro to win this fight. I'll say first round knockout, but I have a half unit bet on him to win in round 1 or round 2 at plus 108 to kick off the card. Next, we got Ikram Aliskerov going against Phil Hawes. So, yeah, I probably should have hopped on this Hawes money line. It's dropped a ton. It was like plus 235. It opened up around plus like around plus 250, around there, which is kind of wild. Now it's plus 160, so money pouring in on Phil Hawes, and I completely agree with it. But it's at the point where I don't love the money line as much, but the play I do like here is same thing with the Ribeiro fight, but we're getting crazy plus odds here. Phil Hawes to win in the first or second round, quarter unit, plus 350. I think this fight's going to play out, pretty competitively. Phil Hawes, great takedown defense, wrestling background. I think he's going to have the striking advantage here. If it turns out Ikram Aliskerov cannot take down Phil Hawes, Phil Hawes is not looking like a plus 160 underdog, as long as his chin and cardio holds up, which is why I'm only going a quarter unit on Phil Hawes here. Just due to the fact that you can't really trust this guy. You can't trust his chin, you can't trust his cardio, but I think if he stuffs these takedowns, he's going to be very live to knock out Ikram Aliskerov in the first round. Ikram has been knocked out and is only lost in the first round by Khamzat Chimaev, and that's why I think this guy's a lot of hype on him. Like, people are just looking at the record and saying, oh, he's won every fight outside of the Khamzat fight, therefore he's freaking amazing. But I don't know, I wasn't too impressed with Ikram Aliskerov. I really wasn't. I think he's okay. I think his striking's okay. I think his wrestling's okay. I think his grappling's phenomenal, but is he going to be able to take down Phil Hawes? It's yet to be seen. So if Aliskerov does get on top of Phil Hawes, I think he probably does finish him, but Phil Hawes has never been taken down. The UFC, outside the UFC, never. It's never happened, so we'll have to see. But I like Phil Hawes here, and I like that quarter unit sprinkle on him to win in the first or second round. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities in that one. All right, moving on to the people's main event. Honestly, this is probably a 100 gambler fight, but it is the fight where I have the most exposure on, which is kind of sickening, but I do like the spot. So the bet I have is the fight ends by knockout, 2.25 units at minus 132. I could not believe this line. I think they're really overrating the Parker Porter submission here. I think this fight it's minus 600, minus 650 to end inside the distance. I think it ends by knockout more often than not, and way more often than the minus 132 does indicate here. With that said, though, I'm fully aware that Parker Porter is probably going to be live for a submission here, potentially, but he only has one submission in the last, 12 years, so I'm not really sure why this line's at only minus 132. I even saw it at minus 129 for this fight to end by knockout. Doesn't make much sense to me, but I have 2.25 units on the fight to end by knockout. I did hedge because I do want to hedge on this because I think a sub could happen, and it was kind of like my sneaky spot of the week. I was expecting plus 1,400 for Parker Porter by sub. Not even getting close to that. It's plus 350. So I put a quarter unit hedge. I'm not scared to hedge out on this one because I am heavily invested in it. Quarter unit hedge on Parker Porter to win by submission, plus 350, just a quarter unit. And then I'm even thinking about maybe sprinkling the Parker Porter submission props 2 and 3. Parker Porter is a black belt for what it's worth. Like I said, I think KO is way more likely, but those submission props round 2 and 3, they are actually pretty juicy. Plus 1,400 for round 2, plus 3,000 on Bet365 for round 3. So I may dabble into those a little bit, but I think fight to end by knockout is just underpriced this week, and it's a great spot. Violence in general is a great spot. Under 1.5 is a great spot. Fight doesn't go is a great spot. Braxton Smith, probably 30 seconds of cardio. Like, this guy comes out throwing hammers. I think somebody's going out here, and somebody's going out pretty quickly. So violence for this Parker Porter Braxton Smith fight, and I'm way too heavily invested in this one, and can't wait to get this over with. But we'll see what happens. Moving on, we have Marina Rodriguez going against Virna Jandaroba. Verna was like plus 180, plus 175 like 2 weeks ago, and this was actually the last fight I looked into. I wish I would have looked into it earlier because I would be on Verna Jandaroba, but she's plus 110 now, which I think is about right. Like, this fight should be close to a pick'em. Striker versus grappler matchup where Rodriguez is going to have the striking advantage. Jandaroba is going to have the grappling advantage. I do lean towards the Jandaroba side just because I don't like the takedown defense of Marina Rodriguez, and I just hate the get-up game. She has no get-up game whatsoever, and if Verna gets on top, you're probably not getting up. So I think Verna could take down Rodriguez in 2 out of the 3 rounds and win the fight by decision, or I think she's very live for submission. Verna Jandaroba by submission, I got a quarter unit on it at plus 525. It has moved a little bit. It's still plus 475, but at plus 525, it's one of those spots where, does it hit? Maybe, maybe not. But I know for a fact that Verna's going to try to hit that prop. So, and I know for a fact there's going to be multiple opportunities of that plus 525 hitting. So I really will always bet Verna sub besides the Dern fight or the Hebos fight. I'll always bet Verna sub. And at plus 525, I think it's worth a shot. Does it hit? It's yet to be seen, but I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities to do so. That's how I'm playing it. I don't hate the Verna money line, but at plus 110, you kind of missed the boat. So give me the sub prop, taking another small sprinkle there. Moving on, we got Chaos Williams going against Rolando Badoya. Just quickly, I like the under here. Under 1.5 rounds. Got on in at plus 100 for a half unit. I think Williams makes quick work of Badoya here. Badoya, his style is kind of like a Chris Montino. Walk forward, eat your best punch until you gas out, and he finishes you later, wins a decision. And that's just not going to work against Chaos Williams. Being very hittable is not going to work against Chaos Williams, who has a ton of power, who starched Alassane in 60 seconds, who starched Alex Morono in 60 seconds. And I think he starches Badoya here pretty early in that first round. Badoya's tough. He relies on his chin, but being tough and relying on your chin against somebody that hits as hard as Chaos Williams, I just don't like that path to victory for him. So Chaos Williams, very popular parlay this week, parlay piece this week. Would I play him at minus 330, minus 350? No, I wouldn't, but I think to improve that price tag, you take that knockout prop or the under, and I'm on the under myself, half a unit, plus 100. Moving on, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu going against Devin Clark. I have a couple bets here. So I'm pretty confident in Kennedy this week. I know a lot of people are on the Devin Clark side. I don't really see it at all. I think Devin Clark has a path, but it's fairly limited. Like, Devin Clark's path to victory is going to be holding Kennedy against the cage for 15 minutes. And if Devin Clark wins, it's probably going to be the most boring fight of the card and maybe of the year. But I just struggle to see him doing that. I just think at some point Kennedy's going to catch him here. I wouldn't touch the Kennedy money line, though, because Kennedy's a guy that he starts slow every single fight. He's going to start the fight, walk forward, guard high, and do nothing for 3.5 to 4 minutes. It's going to take him a while to get going, and once he does get going, in that second and third, I think he puts it on Clark and finishes him in that second or third round. So I would not touch Kennedy pre-flop. I think he's a good live bet spot, and then I also have a couple bets here on Kennedy. So I have Kennedy inside the distance, half a unit, at plus 130, and then I sprinkled the second and third round props, quarter unit each, plus 550 round 2, plus 1,000 round 3. I think Kennedy finishes Devin Clark in that second and third round, or second or third round. So give me Kennedy to, I don't want to say weather the early storm, because Devin Clark's not bringing a storm against anybody, but I guess just weather the early wrestling of Devin Clark and take a little bit to get going, which that's just Kennedy's style. He takes a while to get going, and then I think he finishes Clark in that second or third. So more plus money sprinkles there on the Kennedy side. Moving on, we got Drew Dober going against Matt Frivolo. I like violence here. I like violence on most of this card. Like, this is a card where I think I'm picking the most finishes ever. I think I'm picking 10 out of 12 fights to end inside the distance, and this is one of them. I like the under 1.5. I know people like the over. The odds are swinging the other way. The under was plus 120. I should have hopped on there, but I thought the over would get hit because people like over 1.5s, but I guess not this week. And I got it at plus 105 for this under. So half a unit, plus 105 for this under. The reason being is if this does go over, I think it's because Matt Frivolo wrestles. But I have a sneaky suspicion that Matt Frivolo is going to go out there and stand and bang with Drew Dober. And if he does that, I think he's getting knocked out in the first round. But I don't know, like, Frivolo hits very hard, and Drew Dober, he's tough as nails. He's never been knocked out in the UFC, but could this be the first time Drew Dober's chin gets cracked, gets knocked out? Like, we have been seeing Drew Dober get hurt more and more lately. Terrence McKinney hurt him. I think Brad Riddell hurt him a couple times as well. So I want the under. You know, I pick Drew Dober by KO in the first or second round. I'm leaning first, but I want the under instead, just in case Frivolo is the first guy to knock out Drew Dober. But yeah, I think Frivolo is going to come out here. He's going to put a show on for the fans. He's going to stand and bang. Terrible idea. I think he gets caught and knocked out, but give me the under 1.5 rounds, half a unit, plus 105. I think this one ends very early in the first round, and it's going to be an absolute war for as long as it lasts. Moving on, we have the main card opener. We got Charles Jourdain going against Gracie. We got Jourdain as the favorite around minus 165, plus 145 for Gracie. So this is like borderline 1-800-GAMBLER. It's a fight where, you know, there's a lot of unknowns, mostly on that Gracie side. Gracie is coming off of a 3.5-year layoff, but it's a matchup where he literally could win this and make it look very easy. So Charles Jourdain cannot stuff a takedown to save his life, sitting at 48%. So that means that if Gracie attempts 2 takedowns, odds are he's getting one of them. And 1 takedown is all it's going to take here to win this fight. So there has been some shenanigans going on with Gracie this week in terms of, I don't know, he just seems uninterested. Seems like him to be in a very bad mood. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think 1 takedown, the fight could be over shortly after. So I put a quarter unit sprinkle on Kron Gracie to win this fight by submission, plus 240. I think it's his money line. I don't see him going out there taking down Charles Jourdain, controlling him for 2 out of the 3 rounds without getting a sub, and I don't see him obviously outstriking Charles Jourdain. I think if Gracie wins, it's by sub. I'm playing the sub line. I'm only going a quarter unit, though, because I'm very sketched out on this fight, honestly, but the path to victory is just so clear to me that I got to put a little sprinkle on that Gracie sub. Quarter unit, plus 240. Moving on, I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight. Eveloev, Diego Lopez. Eveloev's like minus 1,000 as expected. It's a terrible matchup for Diego Lopez. Lopez, no takedown defense, no get-up game. Simple as that. He'll throw up submissions, which concerns me a little bit because Eveloev, he has been almost caught in a couple submissions, but he's able to work out of them. I think Eveloev wins this fight and wins this fight by decision. I'm not going to bet it, but Eveloev by decision at plus 125 is tempting, but I wouldn't really flip a coin whether he's going to finish Lopez or not. Lopez, his grappling is very solid. I don't see Eveloev submitting Lopez. It had to be like a TKO, but Eveloev's not TKOing anybody. So does he finish Lopez? I don't know. I'd lean towards decision, but I'm not sweating out 15 minutes with a short notice Diego Lopez here. So pass, my only pass fight on the card. Moving on, we got Jessica Andraj going against Yan Xiaonan. I really like this matchup for Jessica Andraj. I think people are really down on her after her last performance against Blanchfield, but there's absolutely context there. Heard an interview with Jessica Andraj. She took that fight like while on vacation, so she was doing no training whatsoever. She was on vacation, answered the phone, accepted the fight, shows up a week later and fights a killer in Blanchfield who was on a full camp, ready to fight Taila Santos, right? She looks awful. She looks bad. She gets taken down, submitted in the second. All good. Yan Xiaonan's not taking down anybody and submitting nobody. This is a completely different matchup. And on the feet, Yan Xiaonan, yes, she's the more technical striker. She's better defensively. She's the better striker overall. But it's Andraj who's going to come forward with no regards to any strike and defense, which is fine because there's going to be no power coming back from Yan. She's going to walk forward. She's going to land the bigger shots. She's going to have the bigger moments. So even on the feet, Andraj should be okay here and potentially get a knockout, but where she has the clear path to victory is on the mat. We saw Yan Xiaonan's ground game get exposed big time by Carla Esparza. She made Carla Esparza look like Khabib and Khamzat combined. I mean, it was bad. And if Carla Esparza's finishing you, which Carla Esparza finishes nobody, what is Jessica Andraj going to do that actually is a very good finisher? I think Andraj finishes Yan Xiaonan. I think it's a terrible matchup for Yan. I'm not sure why all the money is coming in on Yan this week. If Jessica Andraj's game plan is to stick on the outside and go strike for strike with Yan, yeah, sure, she could lose, but why would she do that? I think she's going to wrestle, and when she does, I think she finishes Yan Xiaonan here. So I'm about as confident as you can be in Andraj. Of course, it's WMMA. We've seen some crazy things happen lately, the Egger situation last week, but I think Andraj finishes Yan Xiaonan. Half a unit, plus 160. That line is even plus 165 now. Co-main event. We have Gilbert Burns going against Belal Muhammad. I'll say right off the bat, there's a lot of confidence either side on both the co-main and main. These are two fights where I just don't see how anybody could be confident in either side. Like, for this co-main event, Burns, Muhammad. Burns is going to have a lot of opportunities early, I think. I think he's very much live for an early knockout. Burns has a ton of power. He's super dangerous, but I have serious concerns about Burns' cardio and serious concerns about Burns' durability. What happens if this fight gets into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round? We've seen Burns slow down in 3-round fights before, right? What happens when he sees that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round against Muhammad, who has great cardio, short notice or not? I think Muhammad's cardio is going to be fine, whereas I really have concerns about Burns' cardio. The reason I can't play Muhammad, though, is for one, I missed the line. He was like plus 175, plus 150. Now he's like plus 105. So that's one reason I'm not playing Muhammad. But the other reason I'm not playing Muhammad is because I think Burns is live for that early knockout. This is a situation where I think it's Burns early or I think it's Muhammad late. I really do. I like the under here. I have a half unit on this under, plus 120 for this under, half a unit on it. And then I also sprinkled the Belal Muhammad KO props round 4 and 5, 0.15 units on round 4 plus 3,300, and then 0.1 units on round 5 KO for Muhammad plus 5,000. I think if this fight gets to round 4 or round 5, Muhammad is going to have an opportunity to finish Burns late, but I think Burns is going to be live early. I don't have a ton of confidence on Muhammad here, and I don't feel like anybody should have confidence in this fight. There's a lot of unknowns, like both guys short notice. what are the game plans going to be? Is Burns going to try to take down Muhammad, who has elite takedown defense? Is Muhammad going to try to take Burns, who has elite jiu-jitsu? I don't know. I really don't know how this fight's going to play out, but I like the violence aspect of things here. Give me violence, and I think somebody gets finished here. The pick's Muhammad, late round finish. And then the main event, we have Henry Cejudo going against Aljamain Sterling. This is a fight where, if this fight was 3 years ago, I would be max betting Henry Cejudo. I'm one of the biggest Aljamain Sterling haters out there. I thought it was the biggest up until this week, because, man, people hate this guy. Some of these comments you guys have been commenting this week, like, people hate Aljamain Sterling. And I've never been a big fan of him, but he does have some advantages in this matchup, right? He's going to be bigger. He's going to have a height advantage. He's going to have a reach advantage. He's been much more active. Henry Cejudo's not fought in 3 years. He's coming back as a 36-year-old bantamweight. If we get the Henry Cejudo of old, I think Henry Cejudo wins this fight and wins it pretty easily. It's just, are we going to get the Henry Cejudo of old or not? This is my least confident pick on the entire card, and maybe of the entire year. I hate this pick. I've been going back and forth all week on this fight. I hate this pick. But I'm going to side with Sterling just because he is younger. He has been more active. He has a height and reach advantage, and he has that grappling upside as well. But I hate this pick. I really do. Least confident pick. From a betting perspective, again, I like violence. I like violence on this entire card. I like the under 4.5, half a unit plus 130 for me. And then I cannot ignore the prices of the Cejudo knockout props. Like, if Cejudo shows up and he looks like the Cejudo of, when he fought Marlon Moraes, when he fought Dominic Cruz, and, the Cejudo that's coming forward, hard kicks, putting everything to his shots. If we get that Cejudo, I think he can knock out Aljamain Sterling. And then on the flip side, if Aljamain Sterling gets his fight down to the mat or takes Cejudo's back, he's probably going to sub him. So violence for me. And what I did do is I sprinkled the second, third, fourth, and fifth round knockout props for Cejudo. 0.15 units round 2 plus 1900, 0.1 units round 3 plus 2200, 0.15 units round 4 plus 2500, then 0.1 units round 5 plus 3500. So 0.5 units total on these Cejudo props, knockout props. If he knocks out Sterling in the second, third, fourth, or fifth round, it's going to be a very, very good time here. So we'll see. We'll see which version of Cejudo shows up. If we get, the potentially washed version of Cejudo, Sterling probably beats him here. If we get the Cejudo of old, of 3 years ago, I think he makes it look pretty easy, but really, we really don't know what we're going to get. So I wouldn't be confident one way or another in terms of the money line, but that's how I'm attacking it from a prop perspective. So yeah, it's a card where I have a lot of bets, but a lot of sprinkles. Like, a lot of these bets are small sprinkles for big returns. So when you're playing it that way, you don't have to hit a ton. You can get a lot wrong. You can afford to get a lot wrong. If you get a couple right, you're up for the night. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully a couple of these big ones hit. But yeah, looking forward to this fight card for sure. Before we get out of here, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, getting really close to 20,000 subs. I think we're like 130, 140 away from 20,000. If you guys do enjoy the free content, if you guys can please subscribe, I do appreciate that so much. And then also don't forget to comment down your biggest plus money prop. It can be minus money if you want, but I don't know if you'll win that way. But comment down a prop you like, and then whoever has the widest odds, the best odds prop, and it hits, I will Cash App or PayPal $25 to first. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Check me out on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'm sure I'll be pretty active for fight night as always. If you have any questions, hit me up on there. My DMs are always open as well. And other than that, best of luck for UFC 288. Best luck on your bets, your picks, and enjoy the card. Should be a fun one. See you guys later.